Hey guys, time for another little live video. So today we're going to be talking about some essential oils first. Somebody asked about that last week. And then we'll get into sinus infections. Dr. Quinn's out of the office for the week, so you just got me. We'll see where it goes. If you want to talk about anything else, feel free to put something on the comments. Tell us whatever. And if it happens after this video, we'll try to make sure that we do it next week. So essential oils. So kind of have a love-hate relationship with them. We use a lot of them, mainly in two compounds. So one of them, or both of them, are actually used for killing and destroying biofilms and bacteria, fungus, microbes, things like that. But outside of that, we have another one that we use for helping with oral health, making sure there's no type of imbalance inside that. Outside of that, though, we don't really use a whole lot. We like to use, instead of like extracted oils and things like that, we use natural herbs. So we'll have different ones such as like astragalus or olive leaf or things like that, but not in the essential oil form. We feel like it works better for us. And then half the time we have people coming in who are using a ton of essential oils who tend to not really be doing super well. They often are sick, or it's just making them worse. So we usually have people come in and tell them, bring everything that you're currently taking, supplement-wise, herbs, essential oils, and we will test off of that. And most of the time, probably 9 out of 10 things will be testing negatively for them. Something that comes to mind is in the Lyme community, there's this Herxheimer reaction. The Herxheimer reaction is the die-off reaction, where a bacteria dies, releases its toxins, and the people get really, really sick. So something that we have come to see that it more than likely isn't necessarily the bacteria dying, but more likely they're on the wrong supplement or herb, and that thing is making them sick, or they're taking too much of it. I have a patient who often can't do well on the dosage that we typically give to an average patient. Sometimes we just give too much. Other times we just give the wrong thing. It's pretty rare for us because we do a couple checks to make sure that the supplement they're taking is going to be right for them. But that being said, we still like essential oils when they're done properly. And I'll talk a little bit about that with the sinus infections, because there's actually an important part to sinus infections with that. So sinus infections, I've dealt with a ton of them in my life. Pretty much yearly I would get them, if not more than once, twice, 3 times a year I would get them. Every time I would go see my parents and stay the night at their house, I would get a sinus infection. Sometimes it would just start off slow and I think I'm good, but then within 2 days, my sinuses are completely inflamed, filled up, and I can't do anything about it, and I'm down for the count for probably a week. I hated them. And I've gone to the point where I can handle their house fairly well. Haven't been able to stay the night since then. So it is kind of difficult. So why? Why do these things happen? I can tell you, out of all the people that I get to come in with sinus infections, including myself, most of the time it's fungal related, mold specifically. You'll go to if you Google sinus infections, it will either be virus or bacteria usually, but I can tell you from my side, most of the time when I see somebody, it is fungus. No doubt there's probably bacteria there. Bacteria live all over us. And if we do a culture of your nose, sure enough, it will probably show that there's a bacteria in there. But is it the cause of your sinus infection? At least from my standpoint and my clinical experience, most of the time it's still mold. So back to my parents' house. My parents' house is moldy. I remember we put one of our favorite couches downstairs in their basement after they got a new set of furniture. And so we went ahead and put it downstairs. It was this nice little white couch. I don't think they checked it for a year or two. We went back down there, black mold completely covering the entire couch. It's terrible. And their basement does get flooded whenever it rains a lot. And I still don't think they have a sump pump. But nevertheless, moldy house, every time I go there, sure enough, sinus infection will likely result if I'm not preparing for it properly. So what do I use to prepare for it? So we have a couple herbs that typically test pretty well. Vital Guard's been one of my favorite ones. It's helped me out quite a bit. It's chrysanthemum flower. Morinda's another one that I've used, and that's helped, and you can take it on a maintenance dose. We usually tell people to take three times a day, but that's helped a lot. That's noni fruit. The other one, camu. Camu tends to help, and camu's a fruit from South America that's super high in vitamin C and some other antioxidants, but it tends to help. But again, the biggest thing is that's not attacking the root cause. The root cause is you got mold in your house, and you're going to have to fix that. My parents, no, it doesn't bother them. They're used to it. So I just deal with it when I go the best I can. So the best thing to do is to get an air quality check to see. You can also check in places like the bathroom or the basement to see if there is any mold. If you end up having mold, the thing to do, if it's not too bad, you can clean it out yourself, maybe some vinegar and water. The other things, other options are running a diffuser with tea tree oil and cedar wood. That can help kill the mold. But again, it might not get rid of all of it. You really have to scrutinize your entire house. Lastly, ozone therapy. So getting like an ozone machine or something like that, that can help. Of course, you don't want to be in the house when you're running one of those. Maybe kick it on for like 6 to 8 hours, leave your home, come back, open all the windows, turn off the machine, leave for another few hours, and then come back. That can also help get rid of it. But there are certain situations where the mold just doesn't go away. People have spent thousands of dollars trying to fix it, and sometimes it just comes to the point where you're going to have to leave and find a new place to live. And I know how difficult that can be. There's a person that I know, one of my patients, their house was flooded while they were away, and it was pretty bad. And still going to their house, you can smell the mold. If you can smell it, it's probably there. So just so you know. So other things that can cause it. Histamine reactions to something like pollen. Allergy season's just pretty much passed. Some people are still dealing with some allergies, but that can definitely cause some irritation to the sinuses, and it can be similar to a sinus infection. So you want to figure out what pollen is causing it, or figure out for us, we will have muscle test people, have them bring in air quality from their home or around their house or outside their house, just outside in their yard, collect some of the pollen and see what's happening, and see if there's any herbs that we can give to counteract it, some antihistamine herbs. I think that's pretty much it for the sinus infections. Any questions? See Houston's on here. Got any questions, good buddy? Oh, there is one other thing. So there's a lot of people who end up getting really reactive to different chemical odors. And this is a really big point. My wife's grandma can't handle any type of perfume at all. If somebody walks into church and they have perfume on, she almost immediately bolts for the door and gets out because it just starts really irritating her sinuses. She gets sick, feels terrible. My mom was like that too. Walk through the perfume aisle at like Macy's or JCPenney's or anything like that, hold their breath the entire time. So what happens there is fungus makes you reactive to aldehydes. So we have to be able to get rid of and detox acetaldehyde in our body. And that takes a couple of cofactors. Mainly molybdenum is what I see the most. But again, you're just helping to get rid of the aldehyde. You got to figure out what's causing it. fungus, whenever they're inside your body, it's going to create these things, the aldehydes. And if you're overwhelmed with it and you have no molybdenum, you're not going to be able to get rid of it from your body. And you're going to become reactant to other aldehydes. And that's what's in perfumes. That's what's in strong chemical odors or aldehydes. And so if you're reacting to those, that's going to be a problem. And you should point you in the direction of fungus. You got a mold issue. You got to deal with that. Outside of that, the other one would be that raises the acetaldehyde levels in your body would be, or something similar to that, would be alcohol. Drinking too much alcohol is going to overwhelm your liver, and then you're going to have another issue. So again, another good reason to not drink a lot of alcohol, as if we need to say that so many times. That pretty much covers what I was going to talk about today. Dr. Quinn's out of the office, and so if you have anything that you want us to talk about next week specifically, and that we can bounce off each other and show you our clinical experience with it, just put a post in the comment. We'll keep an eye on it. But that's pretty much it. Hope this was good and that I answered whatever questions. I know there was another question about using a specific type of massage therapy to help with sinus infections. We don't really use much other than the muscle testing, trying to figure out what's causing it and giving herbal remedies. We will rub certain reflexes that do help relieve the pressure and help the body get into a more healing state. But outside of that, we typically don't do any type of sinus massage per se, though we can. For myself, I've never seen it work for myself. I've never really had, like even neti pots never would work because I would get so inflamed, no water was getting in. But if it works for you, by all means, do it. This is just my experience with it. Cool. We will see you guys next week.